Greetings, kinsmen. Today we are working on the door, so welcome to Yurt Me Baby One More Time, Part 2. Knock, knock, knocking on Haven's door. Now, if you remember from the original Yurt building series finale, there were some problems with the Yurt, and this episode is to fix those problems, to do some renovations. First thing on the list is clean it up. So I'm using a magic eraser to get rid of the scuff marks and whatnot. As you guys remember, the little rope handle did not work, so I'm replacing it with a wooden one. So I'm making sure that little dowel is at the right height. Now I'm going to cut a little knob out of this little maple dowel. It's about 1.5 inches. Also, practice proper beard safety. You want to keep your beards nice and safe. Tuck it up, keep it from getting in the saw. Yeet, as the kids would say. You and else is safe? Keeping your fingers from getting cut off from a saw. So I'm using this scrap 2x4 and I'm placing it up against my hip and I'm pushing it up against the fence. And so that way, hands are free and clear from this really short piece of maple. I'm only cutting off 1 inch for each side. I think that's all I'll ever need, but we'll see. And this is a neat little jig I picked up at a shop I worked at. And you can use it at the end of a dowel to find the exact center. All you gotta do is rotate it and make another mark. Just like so. And now you got the center. You know, some of y'all are wondering, what is he doing? Well, the channel locks I got there have teeth on it. I don't want to mar the wood, so that fabric keeps it from getting marred up. Now that we have them cut and drilled, time to smooth off those edges before we put them on. This is some 120 grit sandpaper, and I could use my sanding block, but that's like a 80 grit, and I didn't want to, I didn't want it to be too aggressive. So here's mistake number 1. I drilled the hole too small. It's a 1/2 inch dowel, and the hole's clearly not 1/2 inch. So back to the drill press. If you're gonna do it this way, make sure that the dowel is flat up against the bottom plate, the foot, if you will. So that way you're getting a nice straight hole. There's gonna be a lot of people in your life that are not gonna be okay with your mistakes, even if you're willing to fix them. One person that you really need to be patient with your mistakes is yourself. That's how you learn, that's how you grow, that's how you struggle and get better. So cut yourself some slack and just keep plugging away, keep failing until you succeed. Some people will even just leave you, will fire you because you make too many mistakes. And of course they can't afford them. Some of them just can't be afforded. And some things can't be forgiven. But in the end, you remain. And the only person that can really change you is you. There was a great quote that said, an apology without change is just manipulation. And another word for that is repentance. You can only say sorry for so long. You have to stop, you have to change, and you have to be better. Of course, not just for the sake of yourself, but for those around you. Some of y'all are wondering what I'm doing with these. You'll see in a little bit. This coat hanger I got at Biko in 2018. Biko year 1018. And just loved it. I wanted to put it on my door. I was just proud of it. And the reason why I made these hooks is so when it goes in any downward pressure, which is the only pressure it's going to be dealt with, any kind of downward shearing pressure, those hooks will keep it from coming out. And by the way, the seahorse is the icon of Bikoline. And I'm not sure why, they just really like it, and you know, everybody else likes it too. So those little hooks stay up, and I think I wanted to peen them over, but I couldn't find out a way. But I could use it to hook up a sign that says do not disturb or whatnot. So here's the test. I've got a water bottle full of water, and there you go. And I've got my Navy pea coat. This is when I was in the service. And give me a comment down below if you know what rank and rate I am. And that, by the way, for those who have one, those are really heavy coats. They're no joke. And so if it can handle a full water bottle and that Navy petticoat, it's a pretty tough hook. Now I'm trimming off the excess of that knob there. And this is again my coping saw. If you want some really accurate cuts, this is the saw to use. So I need to make a big hole in the middle of this board, but I think it's better that I drill the hole before I cut it to length because it would be harder to hang on to, and I think it wouldn't stay together as very well. I think it'd fall apart. So I'm going to drill out an 1.5-inch hole at that mark right there. So I'm purposefully keeping this a mystery until you see what it's used for. I'm pretty proud of this one. I think the surprise is worth the wait. Now, if you guys already know what it is for, leave a comment down below and make your predictions now. So the reason why I got that lock in place is because I had some lady friends that were going to use it at another event, and I wanted to make sure they felt secure on the inside of the tent. And of course I would be sleeping in a completely different tent. So I could have gotten a modern latch from any hardware store, but I don't know, what's the fun in that? I'm trying to go for full immersion inside and outside the tent. And it's not always completely possible, but at least I can try and get as close to that 100% as possible. The reason why I'm banging on it is, say if somebody's trying to get in and they're banging on the door because they're drunk or whatever, I want to make sure that the lock doesn't come undone. So this will need some clarification. So I got that same 1/2 inch dowel. No, I'm sorry, that's 3/8. And I'm going to place them on the door jamb. The reason why is because I'm going to put those grommets in the canvas. I'm going to stretch the canvas and hook them onto those dowels so I don't have to use the staple gun. I'm also placing these in 4 different areas on both sides. And I'm going to drill in at an angle. This isn't going to be straight up and down. The reason why is it kind of still has to be a hook-like angle so it doesn't slide out whenever it wants. If you're going to be drilling through like the presentation piece, like my door, put a piece of wood on the other side so that way you avoid any kind of blowouts. And a blowout would be like, it's really hard to explain, but maybe do some Google research and find out. It's not pretty and it's really hard to fix, if at all. Here's another idea that I used where I wanted to cut these to 2 inches in length. And I didn't want to put it on the table saw or the miter saw, so I thought I'd use my scroll saw. And I think it worked. You're going to want this to stick out just a little bit, and then after we're going to sand it down flat and smooth. Now generally you don't want to keep your sander in one spot, you'll get like a divot, but I really had to focus just on that oak dowel just to get it flat. And the problem with that is the white pine will sand down faster than the oak. So you have to kind of tip the sander so you just hit the oak. Otherwise you just have this little bump sticking up, and that's going to be the oak dowel. And it just doesn't look right, doesn't feel right. Also, make sure you're doing this for both sides. Don't just do one side. I'm just going to show you one side because clearly you don't need to see the tedium of this task. And when you're done, reseal it with that tung oil. Now I like 3 good coats, and I'm good to go. And for those that haven't seen the first episode of me making that door, tung oil is great. I love it. It's nice and it hardens up the oil and it gives a nice color. Just like that. It just brings out the grain. Beautiful. If you like this episode, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and click the bell button. Don't be afraid to leave a comment below to share your thoughts, advice, and questions. If this has helped you in any way, buy me a horn of meat on my Ko-Fi or head over to my Patreon. If every sub gives just $1 a month, our projects will become more epic and our stories legendary. I also have my own merch, so you can show your love for the channel and look good doing it. But more importantly, be humble, be helpful, and be honorable.